You're all set?
Awesome. Welcome, everyone. And I actually don't know who everyone is. Let's see. Oh, we got quite a few people. Awesome. Welcome, everyone, to our discussion on Laker Thrive and the collection, a collective commitment to well-being through the Okanagan Charter. And we have Allison, myself, Susan, Angela, and Brian are all chatting today with you about the Okanagan Charter, which probably sounds very foreign to you, but we'll definitely take you through that and how it relates to our campus and Laker Thrive. So welcome. Okay, maybe I won't. We just had that. Okay, so basically what we're going to talk about today, and we do want it to definitely be an open conversation. We're kind of using this as a way to get information from you as well. So please feel free to use the chat if someone else in the presentation can, I can't see the chat because I am sharing my screen. So if anyone wanted to pop in, please do so. But basically, what we're going to talk about, or Brian's going to tell you in a moment, is what is the Okanagan Charter and how does it connect to us as an institution. You'll talk about SUNY Oswego's new initiative to really infuse well-being into our strategic plan and everything that we do on campus. We'll talk about some ways that we have embedded well-being into campus. Give you some examples about the way we've embedded it into student affairs, some academic affairs, employee well-being, and obviously it will just be touching the surface to what we do. And then we will talk about discovering ways that we can kind of collaborate together to make it so that everyone is knows what Laker Thrive is and what SUNY Oswego is really doing to infuse well-being into our everyday lives. So with that, I'd like to kind of open this up to everyone before we really dig deep into this, to everyone on the line, and you can either just chat or pop it in the chat. But what does well-being mean to you in your role on campus? So again, feel free to just pop in or to pop it in the chat. Now, what does well-being mean to you? And I'm just laughing because of the people that are on here. I know you have some sort of knowledge of well-being. Oh, wait. Oh, I guess I can see the chat. Here it comes. Okay, so let me read the chat. We've got overall health and well-being, our wellness. I focus on vocational well-being. I love it. Balance, that's a big piece that we're gonna hopefully down the road really focus on is balance, this kind of work-life balance specifically,
Right.
which we know Jessica needs to really focus on because she's taking on so many amazing responsibilities. No one knows she's going to be our new chair as of August 25th. Oh, that's my
Yeah.
birthday.
Yes.
You'll take over on chair on my birthday. Anyone else? Okay, so we're going to be done in like 10 minutes today. Perfect.
I'll give an example. Uh,
Please.
as a supervisor of student staff, um, over here in the tutoring center, we often have to remind our tutors that they are students first and encourage them to, take time off. And we'd rather have them, plan that proactively rather than get overwhelmed and have to, call in at the last minute and cancel. So we're, helping them balance their schedules and responsibilities. And, um, we're also role modeling that.
That's an awesome example. And I actually love that you all do that because I do think, and I think from even a, and that's kind of what I think of as far as what well-being means to me on campus is really that preventative piece, not so much the like treatment piece, but keeping the campus well to begin with so that they don't have to get so backed up either mentally, emotionally, socially, psychologically, whatever, to a point where they have to call in sick or something like that. And so I look at my role is how can we as an institution keep people well so that they're not just at this. And I use this example with my students, like, if you ask how you're feeling, you might say you're good, you're well, but your baseline is here. And if something happens, maybe you get a cold or you're sick, all of a sudden you're in this like negative wellness. Whereas if you've already prevented things where you're at like a +5 for your well-being, when something does happen, you might drop down a few points, but you're still above that kind of baseline well-being. And so that's my role, I feel, is to keep people at that positive entity of well-being where if they get a little issue, they're not going to be in the negative again. Anyone else? All right. So I am, we'll have opportunities at the end as well to discuss kind of your feedback and thoughts on what it is that you kind of see moving forward. But in the meantime, I'm going to hand it over to Brian.
Okay. So I wanted to chat a little bit about this Okanagan Charter and then kind of how it fits into where we could potentially go on our campus in terms of health and well-being. So I want to give you a quick historical perspective. Back about 8 years ago, we started a committee kind of looking at the broader perspective of health and well-being on the campus. It's been a rising issue. And we know that there's not one area, no one department, one part of campus that focuses on strictly on well-being. It's kind of everybody has a play in this. When we were trying to find a way to model Oswego and a model that works for us to kind of centralize and build a culture of well-being on campus. And we found this Okanagan Charter that exists out there that kind of really fit perfectly in where we thought we could go on campus. The Okanagan Charter was developed back in 2015 as a document that was developed for colleges and universities because of the power they have to change kind of culture and behavior when it comes to health and well-being. And what differentiates it from kind of other health and well-being efforts is it focuses on structure and place, or in this case, they use a person, place, and planet. Um, Whereas we tend to focus on the individual quite a bit with a lot of things with health and well-being, right? The downstream approach, saving the students, saving the faculty staff who's already kind of, in trouble with their own health. Whereas the charter really focuses on looking at how we structure everything and a upstream approach. On the second bullet point, I think kind of shows this in action, moving beyond traditional approaches of influencing individual behavior, moving upstream to system level and environmental strategies that influence health and well-being. So the U.S. Health Promoting Network is the U.S. wing of this Okanagan Charter, where essentially you can become a campus that adopts the charter. And the last 3 years, we've had several campuses start to adopt the charter. And we as Oswego will be adopting this charter sometime in the beginning of the fall semester. So we're really excited about that. What does it mean to adopt the charter? Well, the beauty of this whole thing is you make your own plan and you make your own strategies moving forward that fits to your campus. So essentially, the president signs off on a document that says, we're adopting the charter. Here's the plan. And we're going to make an announcement for our commitment. So go ahead, Amy, you can move to the next slide. Um, which, yeah, that's it. Which is
Sorry.
great because this plan fits very well into our Oswego strategic plan. Literally, we have a driver called Thrive. which is kind of, the really I think is a great word choice. And in goal one of the Thrive Driver, advance well-being, equity, and belongingness for students, faculty, and staff. And then under that goal, strategy two, develop a culture of well-being at SUNY Oswego. So again, these were kind of aligning here at the same point. Go ahead, Amy, go to the next slide. Wait, did we lose her? Oh, no. Um, I wanted to highlight again, some of our sister institutions have adopted the charter, and they have these kind of strategic plans that they work on. So on the screen right there is Binghamton. Theirs is called Be Well. That's their initiative, and they kind of made up their plan, how it fits into their strategic plan. Go ahead, Amy, on the next slide. Here's another section of their plan, and we have something like this in place already. And so we have these call to actions and kind of changes that we'd like to see. And you can see this one is kind of a summary of like, some of the things. So one of the calls, or excuse me, one of the things in the Okanagan Charter, create supportive campus environments, right? And you can see Binghamton's list of, things that they have. Let's Talk program, which we already have here. Nature Preserve, recreational, investing into recreational playing fields, food items. So just all these things that either exist or you can look into changes. Go ahead, Amy, to the next slide. So one of the kind of we have a plan in place and it's being created by our health and well-being committee. And I want to let you guys know that this committee has existed since 2017. It's kind of on and off again with different charges, but we've really focused our efforts on you know instituting this Okanagan Charter, but really creating a strategic plan and executing a strategic plan to say that we are a health promoting campus. And what's really cool about this campus already is we're already doing a lot of great things. And I want to strongly emphasize that we are ahead of a lot of our SUNY colleagues on this, especially for a campus of our size. We did a list of things that we've done in the past 4 years, and it's actually a really, big list of like I would say strong structural changes that have helped, especially our students. So, go ahead, Amy. And I want to just mention some examples of things that have changed, or have been instituted the past few years to say like, all right, this is examples of structural change. So I just picked a couple. Hired an assistant dean of students that focuses on basic needs. Okay, position did not exist. We had the shop come up, and we realized that there's a stronger need to focus on basic needs and well-being. That's the foundation. You got to have the basic needs met before you can do any thriving. So that's one. Added telecounseling services via Better Mind for our online and extended learning students, right? There's a population that, we looked at a population, they do not have access to our traditional counseling center because of the hours they work, the hours that the counseling center is open. So there was an investment into a third party that could, provide counseling services for our students. One that happened a few years ago, we eliminated the membership fee for our fitness centers to provide a more equitable access um, to our facilities. Now, you know, we want more students to exercise, right? Fitness is a strong proponent or a strong part of well-being, and we had this kind of unneeded barrier that was preventing students from exercising. So yeah, I can do all this work to get people into the fitness center, but we had to take down that wall. Students that wanted a Harmony wellness space. So we installed one in Mary Walker Health Center. We have one in the library. So again, that was from an outreach from what students suggested they're looking for. Um, Allison, I think you put the Hack Your Brain skill share for neurodivergent and neurocurious students. Am I correct on that?
Yes. So we've had tutors in OLS who have seen a need for things and created something based on a need that they've seen. So one example of that is Hack Your Brain, where one of our tutors created an inclusive community for for anyone who identifies as neurodivergent or is kind of exploring how their brain works, empowering them to be the experts on how their own brains work and support each other.
So again, this is kind of a reaction to what students were telling us. So there is a laundry list of these kind of changes that have happened. And again, I want to acknowledge that these are already happening, but it's nice now to have some centralized branding and centralized strategies to move forward to, again, further embed well-being into our decision making, our cultural. And again, it's really great to see in the strategic plan that it is in that plan. All right. So I think we're all very excited about that. And again, the Okanagan Charter is just a way, a structure that gives us a more direction in how to embed it into our culture. So Amy, I'll pass it over to you. I think you
Yep.
have the next section here, and
Yep.
we'll kind of now in the curriculum, and we'll get to the staff. That's a whole other area that's a challenge for us, but I think the curriculum is another area of structural change for especially the academic side.
Thank you, Brian. Yes, definitely. As Brian said, we'll get into the employee side of things. But one thing that I've really been passionate about is infusing well-being into the classroom. And I have been teaching, it started as Bounce, but now it's called Be Well at Oswego. It is a first year signature course. I started it in 2018. And this was a call from the provost office to infuse these signature courses, and mine happened to be about well-being. So it has formed a little bit more traction over the last several years, more so because it's now my Be Well class is now linked to our living learning community. So there's a group of individuals. The class size is 22. I just looked, I think we have 20 signed up for the spring or for the fall. And these students are all signing up, self-selecting into this Live Well Living Learning community. They all live in Onondaga, or no, Oneida together on the first floor. And they also take my 3 credit Be Well class. And the really great thing about that is the Be Well class infuses all 8 dimensions of well-being. But what makes this course a little bit more unique is I also serve as the Live Well Living Learning Community faculty mentor. So I do additional activities with them. I actually go to their dorms to Oneida, and I have office hours there. I train 4 to 5 of our students each year as our research assistants or my research assistants. They work as almost like peer mentors with the first years. And so they also come to the class every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and they form small groups here. And this has really formed a lot of traction or gotten a lot of traction on campus as a way to show how our campus has really taken the initiative to say, yes, well-being and having thriving students is really important. And we're going to now do that by going to them, and to them being their residence halls, and having them live together and learning together. And it is a model that has been replicated in numerous other institutions. And I'm really excited that it's here. We'll be doing it again in the fall. I also do iThrive. iThrive is a 1 credit course. And again, I've been offering this really just as a tool that really looks at the 6 facets of positive psychology and what helps an individual thrive and go from just their baseline to actually flourishing. And the really cool thing about this course, although up until this point, it's really just a 1 credit elective or whatever, but I did just meet with the first year coordinator, or it's a new position now, but that position, Allie, and we are looking into using iThrive as an additional course that students that may not have done well in the GST 104 could take, but then also for individuals that might be in that sophomore year, where if you think about that second year, students kind of fall off because they have had so much attention that first year. And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, here you are, here's your second year, you're on your own. we're hoping that maybe we're applying for a grant to see if iThrive would be a great curriculum development program to help individuals who are kind of in that murky middle, second year, kind of sophomore slump. And so again, just another way from a curriculum and a perspective where we in academic affairs are really trying to go right to the students in their classrooms and start to embed well-being into everything that they do. And with that, we have also workplace. So who wants Angela, I think you were going to talk about that.
Yes. So thank you, Amy. So I'm Angela. For those of you that don't know me, that do not know me, I am a nurse, 30 plus years in the healthcare industry, and I'm the assistant director of over here at Dr. Mary Walker. And a couple of years ago, I've only been on this campus for 2 years. So through this entry here, well-being for us, Brian and Amy have answered the what is the Okanagan Charter, and what are we doing? I'm going to tell you the why and the how. Being in healthcare, I think about my brain and why am I doing the things that I'm doing? And as a lot of people know, the limbic part of your brain focuses on your emotions and your decision making. And the neural cortex, which is so your limbic, that's the why and the how. So the why is our beliefs. And here at Dr. Mary Walker, our staff, we are really strongly encouraged to participate and take care of ourselves while we're here at work and we're at home, so that when we are coming back to the workplace, we could take care of ourselves and our staff members and our students. And how are we doing that? I have on the next slide, and before I go to that, I just want to let you know that the neural cortex, that takes care of the making the actions and your sensations and the language. So I met Brian a couple years ago through my interview, and then I started attending. Oh, I'm getting twisted here. I'm getting a little anxious. So take a deep breath. See the self-care. So start working on campus and you get going to meetings and you start meeting people. I started attending different events, and then I met Amy and started participating in a book club. Then I met Allison, and she's like, "Oh, you should really come to my Mindful Mondays." I'm like, "I don't do yoga." That was my first response to her, and she's like, "Oh, it's not yoga. Just come and we'll talk." I'm like, "Okay." So I went and had time for Mindful Mondays with Allison, and then I had nutrition classes with Allie on campus. So through what my point is you don't know what you don't know about your self-care and your well-being until you get yourself involved. And through that, I am taking care of myself, which then turns into being able to, I'm an employee here on campus, but I'm also an administrator here on campus. So I'm encouraging others to get involved. And then that can turn into, we are happier in our environment, and then we can provide the care that we need to provide for our students. So that's really where I'm trying to go with the why and the how and my belief system on that. And I believe I saw Jackie's name on here too. So participated with Jackie for a book club. So that's going to lead into, if I could ask you, Amy, to go to the next slide. Now that I told you of the why and my belief of where I stand and where a lot of people on campus stand, is we've got to take care of ourselves in order to be the best that we want to be for our students on our campus and where we want to be for ourselves in our careers. So these are just some of the examples of, I put networking in air quotes,
also LakerThrive in air quotes, but networking in air quotes because you can do it alone, but it's so much more fun when you do it with other people. So there's examples for employees of, as I mentioned, the book clubs, the walking to wellness, the laps with Lakers, the mindful Mondays with Allison, the nutrition classes with Allie. So she would provide information on different topics about that wrap around nutrition from month to month. And then Shelly here on campus provided a sleep challenge, which I must say, from a personal standpoint, I did horrible on that sleep challenge. It should be named something else. A challenge for me. So when you say challenge, okay, my brain is telling me it's a challenge. Well, apparently my brain told me that because it's a challenge, that means you can't sleep. So I did horrible with that. I will never do that one again. But I encourage others to do it. Other people might have a better experience than I do, but you won't know until you don't know. And I guess that's my point is getting involved on campus. And Allison, I don't know if you would like to mention the financial wellness.
Sure. So when we were working together with the Wellbeing Committee, we took a look at what's being offered for students. And as Brian mentioned, there's a lot what's being offered for employees. And we noticed there, at the time, we didn't see a whole lot being offered for financial wellness for employees. So Karen Archibald and I, we started working on every other month offerings, to help employees with some different financial needs and interests that they have. And Jackie's on the call in October. Jackie's going to be doing a workshop for salary negotiation. One of her expert skills that she does with students, she's going to be doing that with for faculty and staff.
Sign me up. I was just going to pop in a couple things that I forgot to mention or have added to the list. There's also Discover Wellness, which is offered usually every semester, which is a 5 or 6 week program that involves content, learning content, but then also a little coaching. And then we mentioned the book clubs. We have various book clubs. I mean, obviously CELT has their book clubs, but then we did one about Atomic Habits. We did one about happiness. And it's a really great opportunity, as Angela said, to meet people. And if we think about our social wellness, and I think this is something that we've all struggled with as an institution, as we tend to work in our silos. And if you just even take the example of this presentation, we're all ultimately, we're all in our own individual offices doing these. And so just by default, yes, it's convenient, but it does limit our social well-being a little bit. And so a lot of these activities like Discover Wellness, we ran face-to-face this semester, and it was a great opportunity to meet together in a group. And so that's something I think that the institution is looking into is, how do we bring people back together again? And then I also wanted to preface both of the student and employee well-being as these are initiatives that have been around, as we've, both speakers have mentioned. And what we want to really do with the Okanagan Charter and this new framework is how do we, instead of infusing it kind of from the bottom up, where we're offering you these different activities and these different opportunities for programs, how do we, because it's infused into our strategic plan and infused through this Okanagan Charter, how do we now go from the top down? And that's the purpose and the point of the Okanagan Charter, is to give it more of a strategic look, and it's infused in everything that we do. So instead of you as an employee, say, having to take extra time out of your day to do these things, we're hoping, and again, this isn't a promise, but a hope, it's on our wish list that, again, if it's coming from the top down, it might be something that might trickle into the workday. And I use that word trickle lightly. It might trickle after hours, I don't know. But either way, although we have these amazing opportunities already present, part of the initiative of our committee is to really look at it now from like a top down and a strategic approach so that it's just infused in everything that we do. And that's really, that's why I don't want this presentation to be, people think, oh, it's just another well-being committee that's telling you all the cool activities and programming that we have available. That's just one small piece of it. The other piece is how we plan on infusing it into everything that we do on campus. Which brings us to Sue. Do you want to ask these? I can't remember what part we were going to bring you in.
Just chillaxing.
Yeah, but one thing that we're wondering is just opening it up as a conversation now. What is it that you need as employees for yourself, for your own well-being, but also for, you know, maybe what you see from your students' perspective? And we're going to take notes on what you say.
That's why I put the bullet statement.
So there we go.
What people identify.
Oh, perfect. If someone, you can check the chat. Yeah, check it. But please pipe in.
I guess I'll just comment. Maybe this will be thought-provoking for someone. I noticed when Amy opened and she asked us a question about what our thoughts were about wellness. Appreciating always the feedback that we get, but recognizing that some of the words we used we were using wellness to define wellness. And so I think that kind of in and of itself identifies a need that people aren't really sure what it is that would help them find a better landing point or a stronger footing to feel centered, grounded, have more time, all those things. I like sometimes we offer these activities and it's like, oh, I don't even have time. So help you find a more comfortable landing or way to wake up in the morning feeling less stressed. Start even from that point, things that might be something we could provide or put in our to-do list.
That actually just made me think of something that I've implemented in my own life is every morning about 45 minutes earlier than I could. And I always laugh because I think my parents used to get up so much earlier than they had to leave for work. And I never understood why until I became an adult and had children or had a child and realized it's your only like quiet time for the day. But for me, I get up about 45 minutes early and we created a meditation room. And I go in there every day. And it's actually so adorable that my husband gets a few minutes before me and pours my coffee and puts the window. I like to hear the birds and all that and sets out everything so I'm ready to roll. But my just really meditating and it just sets my day up so well. And I will say I got the idea from Atomic Habits book club I did in this group. I think it was last spring. It somehow came up and I'm like, no, I'm going to institute this little atomic habit. And it started as something really small, like getting up 5 minutes early, and it just kind of morphed into this bigger thing. And I'm at, because I write it every morning, I'm at 306 days straight of doing it. So that went through vacations, and I mean, I bring my journal with me and I do it, and it's something that came about from being in the book club here on campus. So to me, that's been something that's been really important to me. And I would love if, you know, how cool would it be if we had like mindful minute or mindful 5 minutes that's infused into our workday, like they do at Wegmans. What else do we have? What are some other things that, you know, what is well-being? Like, what is it that you need? Like, what do you need?
I'll give an example to maybe like help people come up with some ideas. So In our committee meetings, there was some needs expressed, where people thought it might be helpful to have some like focus group, kind of supportive conversations around topics like, um, being in the sandwich generation. How do you start taking care of your elderly parents, or your parents who are getting older, when you're still, raising your own child and paying for college. Um, so you can think outside the box here beyond, the things that we've already been offering. What are some other things that you may need to thrive and be your best self? And how can we support you in doing that?
So I'm actually a newer staff member. I actually work with Allison in the tutoring center. So, again, I'm a staff member, and this might already exist, but something that I've dealt with in my first year of working with students is a lot of times and this is a good thing, they grow to like you and they grow to want to talk to you and they start to depend on you, which is a good thing. But I've just noticed that like when like bad things happen or if they're going through something really difficult, it's hard for me to not take that home with me. Like I empathize with my students, and so I'm upset when they're upset. So and again, this might be something that already exists that I just don't know about, but maybe like ways to be able to support your students, but also like not, I don't know how to say it in like not a bad way. Like, I don't know. Allison, you
Not
might
take
kind of know what I'm
ownership.
thinking, but like not bringing it with you all the time. Like, I don't mean compartmentalize in a bad way, but do you get what I kind of mean?
Yeah, yeah. And Teresa, I don't think that you're the only one, that feels that way. Yeah, just having, like having those boundaries where, you're handling the work things at work, but then you can, kind of decompress, at the end of the day and then have
Yeah,
your your personal time. Uh,
right. Like you
Yeah,
just grow to
I,
care about all your students, and so it's hard because like then you go home and you're like, oh, I wonder how they're doing with that problem. And again,
mhm,
I don't think it's a bad thing, but just this semester in particular, I had more staff than usual, so it seemed like it was happening more often.
mhm,
But that was
mhm.
kind of my thought.
it makes me think of my therapist is always like, I see a therapist also. And it's
Mm,
because, and I think it's the same thing you were saying, Teresa, is that we, and I think anyone, no matter who, what position or what role you have on campus, you have an obligation to students because that's what we're serving, right? And no matter what, you're touched by someone else. And in my morning meditation this morning, I'm reading this Thich Nhat Hanh book, and I read these little excerpts out of it. And today was about this interbeing. And it was talking about a piece of paper. And you don't have that piece of paper if you don't have a tree. And you don't have a tree if you don't have sun. And you don't have sun. And it just like this whole like domino effect. Well, all of us, I think, can relate to that because we are in the service of serving students. And so no matter what we do, we're being touched by them. And so how do we then I guess as Allison like said, decompress and like take that to be, you know what? Yes, I'm here to serve the student, but I can't be well for the student if I'm not well myself. And so that's really, I think, the really big piece to this committee is how do we keep it so that employees can stay well themselves so that they can then reach the students in the capacity that they're supposed to be in.
So along related to this conversation, Angela actually inspired me when we were having one of our Mindful Mondays meetings. She was talking about ways I think that she kind of either transitions from the workday into the evening or from the evening into the weekend. And that made me realize, that's like really cool that she's strategic about that. And I think it would help me if I could also find ways to do that. So I realized that I was kind of doing that in the summers on Fridays. I would end the work week by going swimming in the lake, and it just kind of like, I don't know, like literally and figuratively, like washed away the work week and allowed me to, you know, transition into the weekend doing like relaxing and leisurely things.
Yeah, I think decompress is a really good way to put it.
Yeah. And I wouldn't have gotten that idea without like as Angela was saying, like attend these activities, meet other people, network, and you learn and grow from each other when you're working on these things together. And that's really what we're trying to do is create a more, a campus culture that allows for that and promotes that.
What else? Anyone else want to kind of pipe in and say either, what is this, what does, what do you need from us? How can we support you? And when I say us, the committee, and I want to say for anyone that is watching the recording to this, please, please, please email any of us from the committee. And honestly, Brian's name's probably the easiest to spell. So if you just want to do Brian.Wallace, just send him all the emails and I'm sure they'll make the way to the committee. But I guess my name is pretty easy to spell too, but
You literally have well in your name, Amy.
I know, which is how Be Well, the actual class. It was a kind of a ploy off of my name, but it fell fast because I realized it just didn't sound right. But anyways, we'll still go Brian. Brian.Wallace at oswego.edu for any sort of feedback, but that's for the people online. Who else? We've got the chat popping up here. What do we have here? That's a great resource. That list. Oh yes, the listserv, but the folks that aren't on it. So that's one thing. Brian, do you want to touch upon that? Like, what is our plan to get the information out? Because there is this listserv, but how do you get on the listserv?
Yeah, that's the marketing challenge that we're always dealing with. We'll always get something on the Oswego Today, but we do have a listserv that we're trying to build more, and I have a sign up form that I'm digging up right now for it. But that's the thing I have to keep sharing out. Like, just sign up on the form, and then we'll get you on this listserv because we don't want to keep spamming emails unless people are interested in this. So let me find that link.
And with that, I'd like to add that we want to get this, and once our whole initiative and the charter is signed, we want to make it so that everyone on campus, if they see, and again, I'm going to use the word LakerThrive. We're not 100% sure that's what it'll stay as, but for the point of this presentation, we want to make it so that everyone on campus knows what LakerThrive is. Just like at Binghamton, I think it was the BU or something like that. We want to make it so that every single person just knows what it is. And that's how infused it is into our strategic plan, into our policies and our procedures. Everything that we do has this eye from LakerThrive. And so it's just, where the website is, how to get there. It's just something that's there. And hopefully when we have this big kickoff in September, and we'll have some amazing t-shirts and hoodies and fleeces. No, I'm sorry, just joking. Maybe glass water bottles. I don't know. But really cool things. Everyone's going to know what LakerThrive is.
Brian,
I want to add something. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
For the LakerThrive listserv, so I send out like the emails for that. I'm gonna spend the summer like thinking on some marketing things for those and making them look better and more interactive. But something I thought about that I want to get people's opinions on. So I get every morning the morning brew, and it goes through everything like depressing in the world, but also it has at the end like little games. Is that something people would be interested in getting in those like monthly emails with like a little like 5-minute mind break, do a word search. Here's a little quiz that you can do on your own. Just something to like break up your day real quick. If that's something people are interested in, I will take the time and make those. But if people aren't interested in that, I won't do that.
I can't speak for the counseling side of Dr. Mary Walker Health Center, but I can surely speak from the health services side, and we would eat it up. We would love it.
I was just thinking, I actually really like the name Morning Brew. I think that's actually kind of a cool thing. And I do want to also say that we are looking into infusing more of what EAP does. We didn't really mention that yet in the presentation, but our employee assistance program, we're going to try to bring them into the committee a little bit more. We already have our representative. With that, the statewide, I don't even think it's just SUNY, I think it's just statewide. New York State has a New York State Well now, or Wellness or something like that. And I do know that you can get on their listserv and they send out little tidbits of things as well. And I feel like they might even have something on there where it's like a little puzzle, but maybe not. That might have been something else. But just keep an eye open for EAP to play a bigger role in all of this as well. What else? What are some other ideas? Allison had mentioned the focus groups, the sandwich generation. I also wrote down kind of this decompressing idea. We want to create these groups where we have these topics that we can just come and talk about that might have something to do with anything. It might be, one thing I think would be super cool, and Sue, you might be able to relate to this, is the individuals who have their children that are going off to college or going off into the real world. Like, how do you deal emotionally? I mean, I'm a mother of an only child. And so, I may just follow her to college. I don't know if that's legal. I don't know if that's legal or not, but that's okay. Maybe that's why she wants to leave New York State. It just hit me. She's trying to run away. Anyways, but those types of things, like how do we make ourselves well with these little things that might not specifically have to do with the institution themselves, but I mean, heck, my daughter's going away next year, which is going to be the start of our semester as well. So it's going to affect me emotionally. Oh, and by the way, I turned 50 basically that same day, which happens to be the first day of the semester. So next fall, 26, just don't come near me. Just putting that out there now, unless we have some sort of way to make me be well. As we wrap up here, we've got about a minute here. If you do have any other comments, again, pop it in the chat or email Brian Wallace at oswego.edu. Just looking at this, yes, a lot of us know what. So we did have a link here. The link is for LakerThrive, right? There's a sign up for the listserv. What else? Brian Wallace. Allison, thank you. Anything else? Anyone else want to pipe in? All right. Well, I believe that Jessica's going to kick us off in a moment. But thank you all for coming. Thank you all for listening. If you do end up listening, give us your feedback. Let us know how we can help you thrive as an individual, as an employee, as a student, whoever or whatever. Please let us know how we can help you. Great. Thanks, Jackie. All right.